Finally, Imelda leaving Bermuda as it moved in as expected last night. That is working away. Two new areas to watch, and I was highlighting some of this yesterday, and I want to zoom down closer to the Bahamas in the southeast U.S. with a high-resolution model, potential development here at the least. Some heavier rain that's going to be moving in, additional flooding in some spots in this area here, and then a lot of the models trying to pick up on development, a new tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa that will march across and eventually be right near us in the Caribbean as we work our way into the middle of next week. So covering both of those new areas in this video. Thank you for your patience as we go step by step through hurricane season. Now, here's what's going on with Imelda. Here's Bermuda that's finally moving away. High dangerous seas today and some gusty winds, but that is leaving. With that, the tail end of it kind of left some moisture around parts of the Bahamas and Florida. Right in through here. This will be a spot feeding back into the southeast U.S. and the northern Gulf just to watch. I'm not seeing significant signs of development, but we're going to see an area of rain sitting over very warm water. That'll be something we will be watching carefully the next few days right into the weekend. Now we swing out here. Here we are in the Caribbean, Trinidad, Barbados, Dominica, Antigua, Bermuda. One really weak tropical wave here. Watching a lot of action out here, but nothing developing. But this new tropical wave emerging over the next day, this is the one that the models are picking up on development, and even if it doesn't develop, I do expect it to potentially bring us a lot of rain in parts of the Caribbean. So that is going to be one to watch. Definitely has my attention since a lot of the models are really picking up on that, and the pattern's a little bit different, that it will drive this more toward the west as we work our way out in time. Now, looking at the models, the American model eventually has this area becoming a tropical storm near the Caribbean and then developing into a hurricane. The European model has this as a healthy tropical wave in bringing a lot of rain eventually to parts of the Caribbean. I want to compare both of these models in just a second for you, and then eventually it could become a tropical depression or tropical storm. The Canadian model has this area becoming a tropical storm. The ICON model, no storm. So the model is still kind of feeling this out, but all of them are seeing this strong tropical wave that will be coming our way as we work our way into next week. Now, looking at the environment, I look at what's going on above our heads, also what's going on at the surface with the water. Water temperatures in through here have cooled a little bit in the wake of Humberto and Imelda, but as a whole, you can see how very warm they are, especially in the Caribbean, especially in the Gulf, still near the Bahamas, where we're going to be watching this first area. So one area watching near the Bahamas, Florida, and the northern Gulf, and then that second area that will be coming off the coast of Africa. Now, here's a look at the behind-the-scenes European model to give us a feel of some of the uncertainty. I like to keep things in perspective. Now, there goes what's left of Imelda. Now, this here is by Sunday. The European model is picking up on this strong tropical wave right here near Cabo Verde, and it is kind of hinting at the potential, a low chance, but the potential of a little development near the Bahamas and Florida this weekend. That's what I'll be watching. Could swing up toward the north, or could just bring a lot of rain back toward the northern Gulf. So watching this area very carefully. European model's not seeing a whole lot with this, but it's seeing more with this. This is going out in time here. This is by the middle and end of next week, by late on Thursday, early on Friday, and you can see something in here. There's strong tropical wave. The American model wants this to eventually become a hurricane, but anywhere from very close to just to the northeast of us in the Caribbean, or just simply sliding in. But you can see how the European model is seeing this. Let me show you that here. This is kind of the main run of the European model. So here we are in the Caribbean, coast of Africa, new tropical wave coming off, and then we're watching this spot here. Here's Bermuda right here. So Imelda moving off toward the east and racing into the North Atlantic, losing its tropical characteristics. So that sets the stage. Now, let's go out in time with the European model. So here we are, Barbados, back through Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic right here. Here we are. This is by the early portion of the week, so by, say, Monday afternoon. And you can see right here in the central Atlantic, the buildup of rain. So the European model seeing this tropical wave and seeing it as a healthier one with additional rain with it. You see it right there, that blob of green. So going out in time here, here we are in the Caribbean as we work our way into next week. This is the middle of next week by Wednesday into Thursday, and you can see a lot of rain that is a potential sitting right in here. But initially, The European model is not showing development initially. So yesterday was showing a little more development, not as much today. We'll wait and see together. Not sure yet. This hasn't even come off the coast of Africa, but high pressure looks to be to the north as a whole, and this looks to be a little bit more to the south. With that said, high pressure acts like a blocker, and if something is a little more to the south, it doesn't really feel these fronts. So point being, it's initially more likely to move to the west. Eventually, with some fronts coming off of the United States, it could eventually kind of tug this back to the north. But this is a spot to watch. Now, on the flip side, let's look at the American model, and then I want to zoom down with our high-resolution model here. So we're watching that tropical wave there, and I'll zoom into this area in just a second as we go out in time here. So this is later today, watching this tropical wave just kind of jumping out in time. It emerges from the coast of Africa. Then by the time we get into Monday, just like the European model, showing that big area of rain, as is common with a strong tropical wave out in the central Atlantic. This will be marching off toward the west. And then you see it here, the American model, a little more aggressive with some development, trying to develop this into a tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm, as it would get close to us in the Caribbean. This is just one model, though. I'm going to be watching the environment. If this were to happen, I would let you know. But the fronts to the north don't grab it because it looks like this may be a little bit more to the south, so it doesn't really feel those fronts up to the north. But then by the time we get into Thursday, the American model is trying to show some sort of developing system almost on top of us, some of us, as we work our way into Thursday of next week. At the least, though, as I mentioned, it looks like this could be a big rain potential. So even if it doesn't develop, significant rain would be a potential, but this clearly has my attention because if it does develop, it's a little bit more likely to move toward us, right? As far as, I mean, it still has a chance to move up and around, but it just has a little bit more of a chance to move toward us. And then these fronts to the north may eventually kind of grab this area and lift it to the north. So it's still a wait and see on what kind of develops. A lot of time to watch it. I do like when they're way out there because it gives me a good handle, a lot of time to kind of give us a good handle on what we could expect with it as we go down the road. I will be covering that. So thank you for taking the time to subscribe so you can get the fresh updates on that as we go forward. Now here's a look at the Bahamas, Florida, Northern Gulf. Lots of rain. I mentioned as Imelda leaves, it just leaves some rain. Now I'm using this model, high resolution model, to just kind of find anything spinning up. I'm not really seeing anything spinning up initially, but as I showed you, the water temperatures are so very warm still through here, even in the wake of some tropical systems. But at the least, this is going to throw a lot of rain into the direction of many, right? Anywhere from Louisiana, even potentially toward the coastal Carolinas, but additional heavier rain, Freeport, New Providence, where we just had some of the flooding back toward the northern Bahamas. This is our Friday afternoon, and you see some of the moisture building right in through here. So keeping an eye on coastal sections of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, panhandle of Florida, and then watching this moisture feed from the Bahamas just kicking back toward parts of Florida, and some scattered showers along the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. But these will be this will be an area as a whole to watch for either some flooding or something trying to spin up. I'm watching this carefully. If anything tries to spin up, I'll give you that early heads up. That's why I mentioned subscribing in case I have to put out some additional videos. You'll be able to get some of those alerts. But in through here, the 5-day rain totals are substantial, inches and millimeters on your screen just to give you a handle. And we'll see how this kind of surges up over toward New Orleans, for example, New Iberia, right on the edge of some heavier rain where we could get some totals of 4 to even pushing 5-6 inches of rain. Same thing, coastal Carolinas down to the south as we swing back toward the northern Bahamas. We're looking at some totals that could top upwards of about 20 centimeters of rain. So giving you the heads up, where we had some of the heavier rain in the flooding with Imelda, northern Bahamas, we could see that again. So giving you that heads up, days and days of a lot of tropical moisture nearby, and we'll be watching out for development in this area. Elsewhere, scattered areas of rain and storms, Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, heavy at times, excuse me, parts of Costa Rica, Panama. A little bit more rain starts to build as we work our way into tomorrow. I'll be watching that. Of course, a lot of action up here that I just showed you that I'll be watching to see if anything spins up. Then as we work our way into Saturday, you see some of the additional moisture sitting right in through here, watching that to see how much of this lifts. Elsewhere, spotty showers, and of course in the Caribbean for us, All eyes will be on that tropical wave that is off the coast of Africa, and I'll be watching to see how that tries to develop as we work ahead. Now looking here, this is what's left of Imelda later today, getting tied up into a front. Here's the moisture we're watching here in a new system trying to pull into the Pacific Northwest over toward British Columbia. But you see what's left of Imelda staying off the coast of the Atlantic region of Canada, and then monitoring what's going on here, but also keeping an eye on some development in the eastern Pacific. Know that I'm watching this toward Mexico, even over toward parts of the southwest U.S. Eventually, by the time we get into next week, there could be some sort of system trying to curl its way back. I'm watching that. If anything moves into Mexico, I'll let you know, or swings up toward the States. But there's that heavy rain on Saturday, and as we get over toward Newfoundland in the Avalon Peninsula, most of the action should be staying off toward the east. And you see it here with Imelda. Winds right now at about 85 miles per hour, but it's losing its tropical characteristics and then racing into the North Atlantic as we work our way through the upcoming weekend. Seas simply stay a mess. In the Atlantic waters are very, very choppy. They're going to be rough, of course, with Imelda. Also watching this spot through here for some development that could really build the seas over toward Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, Panhandle of Florida, choppier seas. But you see how those swells from Imelda, Humberto just kind of continue to work their way toward parts of the Caribbean, those Atlantic passageways rough. And then, just as it tries to settle, we have that new tropical wave that will be moving closer. So one named storm out there, Imelda. Jerry, that is the next name on the list. Then Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nestor after that. Now looking at the 3-day rain totals, this is that pocket of heavier rain we're going to be watching. You see over toward Freeport, it will be coming down in buckets for the next few days at times with these tropical downpours. I'll be seeing if anything feeds off of the water and tries to develop scattered areas of rain that could give us anywhere from 50 to 75 millimeters of rain. Parts of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Cuba, back through Jamaica, where we could get some thunderstorms. Spotty in nature, Puerto Rico swinging around, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, back through St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, Statia, St. Martin, St. Bart's. Hit or miss. We've had some showers around. This doesn't mean there's not a lot here, but this doesn't mean we're not going to get some showers and a couple thunderstorms. Watching Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada through Trinidad. Not as much Suriname, Guyana, back through Venezuela. This is where we'll have some of the higher totals. See some of these whites and blacks showing up in here. 100 to 150 millimeters of rain scattered about across Belize, up through the Yucatan Peninsula a little bit more, and then I'll be monitoring any of this tropical development on the eastern Pacific side to see if that wants to swing to the north. Much of Texas, we're on the dry side, and of course, all eyes on what's going on here near the southeast and southern coast of the United States. So Jamaica, we have about a 50 to 60% chance